These are the things. You've got to take inventory of those, and then you'll go, oh my God, we have so much to talk about. Those will give you all the insights you need. You do that, you just take an honest assessment, you'll be unstoppable.
I'm ready.
See, it wasn't that brutal. You don't feel bruised, do you? Between the three of us.
Oh, Lord.
Recently, I sat down with Jeff and Carly from MyIconicHR to engage in a brand challenge. How did it go? I'll let you be the judge. Check it out.
And I'm going to be looking at the site for the first time with them. We're going to be doing the world famous brand audit, the brand challenge. So MyIconicHR.com. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at this together. For those that are watching this who are not familiar with your company, Jeff, why don't you give an overview of what your company, the name is, and what it provides as a service?
Yeah, so IconicHR actually provides any kind of HR services, and it will turn your HR department, if you have a formal HR department, from a cost center into a profit center. And those people that don't have an HR department, we can do a fractional HR for a fraction of the cost, basically, of a full-time HR department.
Very, very good. And Carly, any other aspect that you would add to what Jeff described as far as what the company offers?
I would say that one of the key things that make us different is that we're a virtual HR service. And that's kind of a new thing, at least for me. I didn't know that that was a thing before I met Jeff. And so it makes it really versatile for smaller businesses who don't even think about HR. They're still able to have those services by just doing it online, which to me makes it way more convenient and a lot less hassle.
What is the problem, the pain point that you solve, reduce, or eliminate for clients?
Compliance issues, and we hold employees accountable, which most owners of companies don't do. We step in and be the parents for the company, where the business owners can still be the cool big brothers.
So you can come in with a tough love and separate that role from the
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at what trouble you guys have gotten yourself into. All right, we got IconicHR. Okay, so now we get to this, and we have these images here. I'm waiting for what message point I'm going to be getting. Okay, so I'm just going to check a couple things here. So it's not actually displaying this mobile response. So the thing that's happening is that when a person goes to your site, when they're on their smartphone, they're going to see this. Okay, they're just going to see this image, and then it's going to fade to this image and this image. They don't actually get a message point. So right here is where I would say we need to really do something that actually gets them engaged with regards to that, because without language, these are images without context. So that's the first thing that immediately is like, okay, I got security cameras. All right. Okay. So are we talking, what are we talking? Then we got two people talking. Again, I don't entirely have context. And then we got rules. Okay. The pain point that you had mentioned, that's the thing that I would love to actually have here somewhere. What's the thing that you do? Because let's look at the mindset of a company coming here, right? They will have come here for a reason. What is that reason? I've got a challenging employee situation. Hey, maybe I could be doing things smarter so that I'm leveraging my relationships properly and profitably. It's not conveyed. So that's the thing that I would say here is missing, big missing, especially when you get into, 90+% of your people, this is what they're going to see. They're going to see this. Human resources can be complex and daunting. If it is complex and daunting, just say it is. The can be softens it, right? I would just go, boom, human resources is complex and daunting. Or it is complex and can be daunting. Everyone will agree it's freaking complex. The changing landscape, all this stuff with who has rights. Does the employer have rights? Does the employee have rights? Da, 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 da. And we have everybody kind of like this rather than together as an aligned team, which is how a company grows and thrives, right? This thing is not a foundation for growth. So missing message here. Okay. Then we get into this. I've told you about that. Then we get more imagery. Again, our solution as a virtual. Now, I have a question. The companies that come to you, do they know what a virtual HR platform is? Are they familiar with that language, or is that new language to them?
That's more than likely new language to them.
Good. So the bottom line is you don't want to introduce new language, or they're going to go, what's he talking about?
Then I peeled back their brand even a little bit further. Here's what we found out.
Virtual HR platform, right? You want to go, wait a second. Let's use this analogy. You're on one side of the table. They're on the other side of the table. We need to have the conversation that is on the same side of the table as them. How would they say it? Let's talk about what they would say, how they would say it, as opposed to, okay, as virtual HR platform. First of all, right now I go, what's a virtual HR platform? Here's why I'm making this particular point. We're right now at a time where AI, everyone's really jumping on this AI bandwagon. Artificial intelligence. First of all, it would have been nice if everybody would have solved some actual authentic intelligence first on the part of people versus jumping to artificial intelligence on the part of machines. AI does not have value unless you can make a direct correlation between the time it saves, the money it saves, without compromise in experience, in output, et cetera, et cetera. So anything that connects to that virtual HR platform, AI, that whole thing, it's like, wait a second. Because everything that you told me at the beginning of this, when you said the problems you solve, I know those are the problems that you, Jeff, and your team have solved through direct observation, through direct experience. So the thing is let's not overlook the value that that has. That's your ingenuity. That's your observation. So as a virtual HR platform, IconicHR creates customized programs to provide solutions for every HR need your company may have. To put it simply, we provide support. We understand what it means to keep your business and employees safe, happy, and moving forward. Your language needs to be able to communicate clearly. If you have an HR department, here's the problems we solve. If you don't have an HR department, here are the problems we solve. To me, it's got to be that boom, boom. If you've got, because those are your two camps, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so obviously there's going to be different problems that the companies without HR, because they're obviously without HR, they're going to tend to be on the smaller side, right?
Correct.
And then obviously those with HR, well, is HR going to feel threatened? Are they going to feel, wait a second, we're fine, we're cool? Because look, let's be real. Well, probably the two least liked departments in any organization are the IT department, which is the only reason we ever call them is when the shit hits the fan. No one calls up and says, hey, Harold, how you doing today? By the way, I noticed your shirt when you walked in and you're looking really sharp, right? That conversation doesn't happen. They only get the calls when the crap's hit the fan. So that's what happens. That's IT. HR has gotten into the unfortunate position in general of being damage control, the buffer between the employer and the employee. They're that sort of intermediary place. And more often than not, HR is seen as, oh, you're here to just soften the blow or to do damage control. That doesn't, HR, and I'm not saying this is good or bad. It's just what tends to be the perception out there amongst employees is, oh, HR.
Yeah, it's the principal's office.
It's the principal's office. Exactly. You've been called into the dean has called you in. Hello. Hi. We need to have a chat. So that's not lovey-dovey. And so you're coming in, you're saying, hey, there's certain things we can do. These are the reality points that need to be touched upon to make the dialogue that you're having on your site meaningful. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool. See, I would very much touch upon what we've just talked about. It's like, hey, what was the original intent of HR? What does HR become? We're here to fix that, right? we're here to restore, we're here to bring back the human component to human resources. Now it's just become resources. There's the human part has kind of like been left on the side. And so, so we've got HR consulting, HR compliance, the softer side of HR, lurking liabilities, recruiting, background checks. The interesting thing here is there's another layer here. You have the whole spectrum. You do it from before, like, okay, they haven't been hired yet, to they're in.
Back recruiting, full recruiting, to background checks, to onboarding, terminations, disciplinary actions, whatever it is, from A
There
to
you
Z.
go. There you go. Bottom line is you have such a more thorough story to tell. You're dropping them in the middle of the conversation. You're assuming they know that. I didn't realize that until I got way below the fold. Way below the fold. Boom, boom, boom. I got to go down 1, 2, third swipe down. I finally get to, oh, you handle people before they've been employed? That should be instantaneous. And there's different pain points. The cost per employee is astronomically high.
Yep.
The work that goes into it, the hours that go into it, the money that goes into it, and to make the wrong choice, besides it being demoralizing, especially for other employees who say, wait a second, Jack was here for just 2 weeks. Alice she was here for a month. And if you have that all the time in and out, it's destabilizing. You can actually be a stabilizing force for the culture, a stabilizing force in terms of how the employer is perceived. There's so many advantages to your narrative that you could have. Customized HR programs, okay, yeah, we would expect to be customized to meet your customers' needs. It's kind of like one of my things is like, if I can say I hope so at the end of anything, I reject it. And then industry leading experts trained and certified in human resource practices. You know what I'd love? I would love for you to be, we're going to restore respect back to. I mean, to me, there's an opportunity. You could be a little bit of the defiant, the ones that challenge what's become the acceptable norm. The acceptable norm is not acceptable.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
The homepage, there's a lot that could be done, so you're not leaving money on the table. It's the one constant mistake that companies make. It's like, let us tell you about us. Let's tell you about it. Oh, you're here. Oh, you're here. We got your attention. Let's tell you about us. Nobody cares about you yet. They care about what drove them to that. If they're going to Apple, whether they're going so they can get their freaking iPhone 14 and they want to see that's a different sell. It's a different pitch. Or if they're going to a place for a car, or if they're going to a place for something. But when you're dealing with B2B, you're in B2B. So companies are coming to you because of why. That's, to me, the exercise that needs to be done. What is triggering people who are coming to our site? What is triggering them to come to this? What's the challenge? What's the pain point? What's the, oh damn, if we don't fix this, we're screwed. Those are the things. So we need to hit those front and center. So it is not about us. It is about you, the visitor, your problem, your challenge, your frustration. Damn it. If I don't fix this, blah, 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 blah. You can fill in blanks.
I totally get it.
Okay, I have a question.
Please.
So as far as his website goes, for SEO maximization and optimizing purposes, would you recommend that he runs the podcast through there and puts up each episode of the podcast and writes like a meta description beneath it with the keywords to try to boost that?
Absolutely.
Because we don't do a blog at all.
Let me address that. Here's the thing to know. If you put up your site and you are not putting up new content, Google's going to see you as a stagnant site. Your rankings are going to go down. By having the podcast in there each time, it's like new content. And then it's a conversation Jeff and I had a few days ago, last week. I would absolutely turn each episode into an article. Each podcast episode is going to have gold nuggets. Got to have gold nuggets. Jeff's a very good interviewer. So how do you leverage those gold nuggets?
Then I delved a little bit into Google Trends to see what words they should be using for their site. Here's what we found out.
And let's say we'll keep it to the US for now. It's searching the web as opposed to searching YouTube or something else. Okay, now you know that human resources is a term you're not going to use. Human resources is a term you're going to use. Let's look at job seekers as a term. Let's see how this compares. Interesting that job seekers is really low here, but on LinkedIn, job seekers is very, very high. Employee management is dismal. As far as search, it doesn't even compare. This shows you. I mean, this shows you the ratios. Is there another term that you guys use that's on your?
I'll just go recruiting.
Well, now we have a hot term. So we have hiring is the highest, employees is the second, and then we have recruiting as the third. That at least gives you right there an example of what you could be talking about as far as language. You want to come along as being their ally. You want to come along as being a non-threatening resource. You don't want to be seen as a threat. You want to be seen as, hey, you know what? A lot of stuff is changing. We know it's a full-time job to like stay ahead of all the stuff. Who has the right? Who doesn't have the right? Who can do this? Who can do that? All the various things. That's the stuff that you can do. You can do much more language-wise. You can do much more in terms of the face, the skin, the look, the feel. That's the thing that I think that can actually really catapult you forward, where people go, they're badass. They're completely badass.
So one question, follow up to what Carly asked. Maybe we put a 200-word, just a transcript, a shortened transcript from one of the podcasts.
So you have this, and then you have about us, and you have iconic HR services. So obviously you already know that HR services has to be changed because it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't rank. You'd add one more tab here, blog.
On the top, and then the drop down should be ranking.
It should be ranking. You have two divisions of companies that you serve. Smaller companies, larger companies. There's nothing here that says who you're perfect for. I should know that in a heartbeat. It's like, whatever this will be renamed should be like blah, 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 blah for large companies. So right now, it's all about us. No one cares about us yet. You don't have a monopoly on this misfire. It happens all the time.
And then I showed them a recruiting firm that I had recently rebranded in Chicago. Here's what they got to see.
There's a brand that we ended up doing. You should have seen there before. This is the new brand. Smarter questions, less mishires. I mean, bang, mishires are costing time. Okay, boom, right out of the gate. We know what they're doing, right? And first search, they've had that name for a while. Boom, home, employers, job seekers, about, contact, job board. Boom, okay, it's all there. 5 decades, right? Bang, we got credibility right there. It's all above the fold. And then on top of that, type for time, press play, and then here is this video.
Today's companies don't have the luxury of time. Neither do those seeking their next career move. To us, job openings aren't just slots to casually be filled. And candidates aren't just treated like a number with their resumes raced off to get into the applicant tracking system like some horse in a horse race. Companies deserve honest help, and so do candidates. And honest help doesn't mean we tried our best. That approach is filled with excuses, wasted time, and mounting frustrations. That's why we ask questions first and fill positions after, with an unmatched record that other agencies try to ignore, but can't. Say goodbye to the panic and the accompanying tsunami of questionable resumes. And if you're tired of agencies that promise the sun, moon, and stars to those seeking their next career move, we invite you to a new world of accountability. If you're sick and tired of the hurry up and throw as many candidates against the wall approach to filling positions, so are we. Say hello to the right person, for the right reason, for the right position. Ready to break records and blow minds from one of the longest running job placement firms? Dedicated to advancing careers rather than having clients who shake their heads in disappointment? Then let's talk. First search.
It tells the tale that needs to be done. And we've got the right mix of the different types of individuals, the right age brackets, all the various things. Say goodbye to a panic, to panic and a tsunami of iffy resumes. Okay, so it's just we're talking from their viewpoint. See, that's the thing, right? We're not talking from our viewpoint. We're talking from their viewpoint. Pain points that hit, and it's sharp. And those, I mean, seriously, their before and after, it was shocking, but it moved them up literally 3 decades from where they were, and the response they've been getting has been phenomenal. Does that help give you a little bit of a bead of where you can dial in on and focus in on to sweeten up your offering?
I think that, yeah, awesome feedback.
There you go. See, it wasn't that brutal. You don't feel bruised, did you?
Well, yeah, I do, but I'm a kind of weak.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I get that.
And this all got very, very curious to me. So I was like, hey, what more can we unravel with regard to their brand? Here's what I found out.
If you understand this view, this will save you a lot of mistakes, and it will make you a hell of a lot of money. And it's this: what insights can you shed light on from the most common mistakes and the most common confusions and the most common misconceptions that you encounter? Get what I just said. The most common mistakes, the most common confusions, the most common misconceptions. You've been in business long enough to know what are the things we always have to answer. What are the usual assumptions that they make? That is your social content. Those are your social posts. That discussion is already happening. You know it's happening. You've seen it. It happens it rears its ugly head every time you speak to a prospective client by actually providing those insights, and you know that they're there because they keep showing up. I mean, and I kid you not, this is not, what do you think this was? When I wrote this based on the exact advice that I'm giving you right now. Because I wrote this after like being in business for 35 years. When I wrote this first, I keep on hearing the same questions, no matter the size of the company, no matter how many years they've been in business, no matter whether that CEO ran a global brand or a local boutique brand, doesn't matter. They all had the same places where they didn't think. They didn't realize, oh my God, if I just asked one more question, I would have actually had the answer. So that's what made me write this. So I'm telling you a strategy that works. You just need to literally take inventory. Now is your job to take inventory. Yep. You got to go, okay, what are the confusions that are always presented to us? What are the questions that are always asked of us? What are the short-sighted or short-term solutions and fixes that we know are disastrous that they're always doing?
Yep.
That it somehow alleviates the pain. It gives them that little quick contact high. But it's going to absolutely bite them in the ass in 6 months or 12 months. These are the things. You've got to take inventory of those, and then you'll come out and then you'll go, oh my God, we have so much to talk about. We have so much we can cover. Those will give you all the insights you need. You do that honestly, you just take an honest assessment, you'll be unstoppable.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that gives you a snapshot of what it's like to dive into a live brand audit with me. Want to be one of the next brands that I actually audit? Well, stay tuned, and we'll see if you are one of the next brands that I actually do an audit on. In the meantime, stay hungry, stay unapologetic, stay in beast mode.